Hello, welcome back to Data Leaps. In today's video, we're going through enterprise data serving patterns. Now, I'm making this video because I've been working through this with several customers of mine. They all have a common problem, which is their central data platform team is used as a service provider for their business units. So the central data team is busy running around all day, every day, meeting the request coming from the business units to produce the data, to connect whatever that business unit's BI tool of choice is to the data platform and do bespoke requests, ad hoc requests, and it's not very scalable, not very repeatable. So I've been working with these customers to come up with a enterprise serving pattern so that they can change the role from the service provider to a data producer and provide a bit of a framework and a repeatable pattern so that their internal customers can consume their data with the minimum amount of friction, and they can go from a more reactive way of working to a more proactive way of working. Without further ado, let's go over to my laptop. So first of all, this serving pattern should be technology agnostic because I currently work for Databricks. So some of the examples here will be Databricks specific, but depending what cloud provider or data platform you are using, you can infer it to apply whatever technology you're using. Is you want to start with mapping what your internal customers are using. So your internal customers will have different what I call consumption vehicles. So these are the things like Power BI, Excel, Tableau, maybe web app, different things that your internal business unit want to consume the data in. And what happens today might be a business unit come to you and say, oh, I want to consume the data in a web app, so you need to like build a connector for me, or I want to consume data in Oracle and you need to figure out how to connect your data platform to Oracle for me, or I need to consume my data in Excel. Can you please build a Excel to your data platform connector for me, that kind of things. So you're busy building out these connections today. What you want to do is to map out for your key stakeholders what these consumption vehicles are. And this is really important, is you don't have to meet everybody's requirement, or you don't need to map out everybody's consumption vehicle. I had a customer that had 300 different services available in their catalog. You certainly don't need to map out 300 consumption vehicles here. It's your key stakeholders, that's customers whose NPS score matter in for your organization, and those are the consumption vehicles you need to care about. So if your CEO wants to see your data in the screen of the treadmill, you need to make that happen. If your janitor want to have computer vision to figure out where the litter is on different floors of the office building, you don't need to do that, right? So figure out who your key stakeholders are and what they want to use to consume your data is your starting point. And then from that, you want to figure out what your serving patterns are. So what your serving patterns are could be different depending on what platform you are using. Essentially, what you want to do is to use the minimum amount of serving patterns to meet as many consumption vehicles as possible. So for instance, you could have things like ODBC, JDBC connector that can be used for like Power BI, Tableau, Excel. You could have REST API that can be used for any kind of web app or mobile app. You could have like text to SQL engine that a chatbot can connect to. So different serving patterns will meet one or many consumption vehicles, and these should be structurally provided by your data platform. And in Databricks per se, you can do this ODBC, JDBC, or REST API, or text to SQL, or using Databricks SQL. And once you have the serving patterns mapped out, it's really important to have your data sit behind the serving patterns. So what that is the data catalog. So you can tell your consumers, these are the data that you can discover and search, and these are the serving patterns that you can consume this data with to connect to whatever consumption vehicle that you want to connect with. In this way, it's more of a self-service type of usage. You have the data that's available to your consumers. They can consume it through their consumption vehicle using one of your serving patterns. There's one missing link in here, is the governance layer. So you want to be able to do access control in here. Not everybody would have access to everything. So in Databricks, you would do it through Unity Catalog. So everything is access controlled through Unity Catalog. Your auditability, lineage, everything is going through Unity Catalog. So ideally, in a perfect world, nobody needs to request access to anything, because you have decided, your data steward and data owner have decided, as per each catalog or maybe per schema, this and that team, finance underscore analyst or marketing underscore data scientist, have access to this catalog or that schema. And as people get onboarded to a new team or new organization, they get added to their AAD groups. And because they're part of the AAD group, they automatically have access to the data that they should have access to. And all the dashboards or the Genie rooms and like direct query Power BI reports, everything inherits that permission. So you don't have to do separate access control request for that. In the event where your internal stakeholders will need additional data to be produced, and that should go through a formal process of discovery, requirement gathering, and pipeline building. And once that's built, the data gets added to the data catalog. It's access controlled. Your internal stakeholders can then consume that through the consumption vehicles using the serving patterns. So this is a more proactive way for you to advertise to the rest of your organization to say, this is the data catalog that's searchable and discoverable. I've set up the access control using something like Unity Catalog. If you're in Azure world, you might do that using Purview if you're not in Databricks. And then these are the serving patterns you have, like you have options for. And then for each serving pattern, you can connect to this and this and this consumption vehicles. So it's a service framework that you are publishing to the rest of your organization. And as consumers, they can do self-service to pick this data, pick this serving pattern, pick the consumption vehicles that they're using, and consume the data that they want, instead of coming and working with you for every ad hoc request. So hopefully this is a more reusable and scalable way to actually serve out the good data that you've built in central data platforms. And hopefully this is helpful in explaining how to set up data serving for a enterprise data platform as well. If you have any questions, comment below to let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching Data Leaps. If you think the content is useful, please like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it.